here we go again. Flip around. Okay. Once again, I thought I had it on there. Good evening. Hello, everyone. We are back live for our Monday nights of Can We Talk? So, tonight, again, we are on our part two of destructive behaviors and toxic relationships in honor of Domestic Violence Awareness Month, which is October. For those of you who didn't know, if you did not get a chance to look at last week's live, um, I encourage you to go to my page and look at last week's video. Excuse me, because we're going to talk a little bit about a couple of other destructive behaviors. So we talked a little bit about last week um, overly apologizing, not apologizing enough, or at all, admitting that you're wrong, or not admitting that you're wrong can be a destructive behavior. So, if you want more information about that, please go to the live from last Monday. So, tonight, before I get started, I want to let you all know that I will be doing a seminar on destructive behaviors and toxic relationships this Saturday, October 19th, from 10 o'clock to 1 o'clock. It will be a 3 hour seminar. Of course, you will have a break. We will have um, a live demonstration of what destructive behaviors and toxic relationships can look like. Just giving you a little tidbit of the drama therapist background. So we will have a little mini presentation or skit or drama presentation for those who attend. Just a reminder that the general admission is or registration is $25, and the CEUs, for those who need CEUs, whether you're a teacher, counselor, you may need continuing education units. That would be $40 for those, and they will be ready for you that day. Well, I can give you um, a, a certificate of attendance if you attend. So, if you would like to register, you can go to PayPal me backslash Intime CCS. That's INTIME CCS. And you can pay your registration directly to our business account. You also can contact me by messenger if you have any questions about the seminar. 9:30 will start registration and continental breakfast. So I hope you come ready to learn, especially because we can sit really idly by and smile while we are having some very destructive behaviors going on in relationships. So, without further ado, let's talk tonight about the post that I have with sarcasm and criticism. So, as we talked last week, just to give you kind of bring you up to speed on some things that can be destructive in relationships. And the question was last week, is it me? So sometimes looking at ourselves can, let us know whether some things are destructive. Sometimes we think that just someone being physical or physically aggressive or what we would classify as abusive is the only destructive or toxic relationship. But as I asked last week, we have plenty of people, maybe not plenty, but we all know someone that we may have considered to be toxic, where we would, like, should I really have them in my life? Um, is it just me? When you get out of their presence, you feel like you are crazy or super emotionally drained. Um, and you begin to question that relationship. That may be someone that you may consider to be destructive or toxic. Um, and if you don't know anyone, I want you to listen to some of these different behaviors to see if maybe you are doing any of these in your relationships. So, last week we talked about someone not apologizing or not admitting that you're wrong. Um, there is what is called the cycle of abuse, not psycho, but cycle, as in like a rent cycle. There's a such thing as a cycle of abuse. And so typically what you will see with someone who may be abusive, and I don't mean again just physically, someone can be abusive emotionally as well. that you will see that they will, you may not see the escalation coming. They will, maybe things are going super great, what we call the honeymoon stage, um, and things are going great. Then they blow up, or they isolate you, and we'll get into that a little bit more on Saturday. Um, excuse me, isolation is part of the cycle as well. Don't want you to talk to nobody, don't go nowhere. Um, for like, make guilt trip you, those kind of things. And so with that, then once the blow up happens, um, a blow up happen as in sometimes it can be physical, if that's the type of relationship that you have been in the past or may currently be in. Um, then if it has ever gotten physical, then that may be the what we call the climax of the cycle, where it gets aggressive, and then after that, the tensions released, at least on that person's end. And then all of a sudden, it's the gift stage. They come back in with gifts, and as if nothing has happened. So we talked a little bit about that last Monday. So again, not going to get back into that, but just again review those. So tonight, is anyone here sarcastic? I hear that statement a lot, sarcasm, and for those who are parents, sometimes can consider sarcasm as disrespectful from your children. But I was told growing up that I was very sarcastic um, in my comments, that people would take them very, wrongly, or etc. And at times I meant to be sarcastic to be funny, not to be disrespectful. Um, I think most of the time I may have had my moments where I was probably in my attitude or in my feelings. But then other times I didn't even know I was being sarcastic. But when we talk about relationships, the sarcasm of what we like to put a spin on, or the joking, some people have outright called it lying, or the joking manner of being deceitful. And I'll give an example of what I mean. So somebody asks you, "Hey, you going to the store? I need some bread." You're going walking out the door. Nah, I'm going to the store. Those type of statements. Those type of statements. You're like, okay, well, are you going to the store or not? Nah, I'm going to the store. So of course, most people would understand that that person is being sarcastic, or what we would call smart aleck sometimes. And then the person who's asking the question, may be off put, like, so were you going? Or do you not want to go for me? And if they take that in a very negative way, which it can be, depending on how the person is giving it, then that can definitely set up a barrier of communication. Because then, if someone is overly sarcastic with you, you may not, most likely not want to continue to speak to them or ask them to anything. Well, forget it. I go to the store myself, right? Excuse me. Ooh. The fall season has hit, y'all. It's a little chilly in here. I ain't gonna got my little sanitizer. I'm running out. Y'all see this? I'm running out. I gotta go stock up at the dollar store on some sanitizer. It's bad. But anyway, so sarcasm in relationships, especially romantic relationships, or friendships, it can be done in a joking way where that person may understand that communication style, but if it's done in a very rude or disrespectful way, then it will put a breach, or what we call a wall, for communication, and then that person may not feel very comfortable with talking to you, and communicating with you. And I've had those misunderstandings happen. um, Definitely were like, oh, I was just joking, I was just wasn't trying to be rude, but the person took it way, and felt very off put, or disrespected by a comment, or sometimes it's the tone of the comment. Now, it's never necessarily the comment that's made, but it's the tone of the comment. So when we talk about destructive behaviors, and I don't mean where you're just joking around with your girl, or your guy, or your friends, or whoever. The sarcasm that I'm referring to when it talks about toxic relationships, um, is more so where you are meaning to put the person down. You're purposely wanting to put them off of the conversation. You're purposely trying to confuse them when they're asking. And so again, with that example, like, hey, are you going to the store? Nah, I'm going to the store. I said, nah, I'm not going. And then they end up going to the store. And then you're like, well, I thought you wasn't going. Well, I mean, I was just being funny. Like I was just joking. You didn't get that? And then make you feel like you're crazy because you were like, what you said. So then again, that makes your communication not trustworthy. Um, and so, as some of my older family members, aunts, grandparents, etc., would just say that was just you're playing line. We say sarcasm now, and or I'm just kidding. They used to say we was lying when we say I'm just kidding. um, but it is. It's like, so you told me one thing and you did something else. When you put that kind of standard in your relationship, then we don't know if your words are truthful or if they're serious. And so you set up a precedence in your relationships with people to not trust your word or to not know if you're serious or if you're joking. So then they never take you serious. And then when you want to be taken seriously, you're not taken seriously because you're joking or sarcastic all the time. And then you're frustrated because no one takes your words seriously. And then that causes again issues in the relationship. And then you may end up losing that relationship, but they may feel like I can't read you, I don't understand you, etc. So let's just set a couple of examples. I won't go super deep. Most people know what sarcasm is. Um, if you don't, it's basically just um, I want to say a smart aleck way, but a very tonish way of expressing something in a completely opposite manner of what may be intended to be said. So again, it's like, okay, do you think my hair looks nice? No. And you're being sarcastic, but you may think it looks nice, but you're saying no. But the way you're saying no comes across as being sarcastic or disrespectful. So that could, if again that continues, that can be set up as an issue. Most times when people are sarcastic, you may be like, okay, well, you have to say it like that. Oh, I was just kidding. I've had that happen several times to me. I'm like, I was just joking to friends or people that I consider as friends or acquaintances. So if that happens, because one of the questions that came up last week was asking like if you do have these behaviors or this has come up in your relationships, what do you do about it? And basically, it's just be what it is. And if that person struggles with sarcasm or taking your sarcastic remarks, then you may just need to just speak plainly, um, or say, you know, I was just joking. I was trying to be funny. If they don't take that, then you may want to communicate in a different style and not use sarcasm with that person. Because everyone is not um, okay with sarcastic remarks. Um, and they can get very, I won't say irritating, but again, as I said, off putting. And so then it makes the person not want to speak with you. And then the other one is like, well, they're upset because no one's wanting to talk to them, but it's really because of those sarcastic remarks. So let's talk about criticism. When we talk about toxic relationships or destructive behaviors, criticism is huge. There is a such thing as constructive criticism. So I don't want you to get this confused with constructive criticism and telling someone something in love. So yes, if I have lipstick on my teeth or I got a piece of green in my teeth, please tell me. That's not a problem. You don't have to, I can't say that to so and so because they're worried about um, you know, being criticized. No. This type of sarcasm, or not sarcasm, I'm sorry, this type of criticism is definitely when someone is maybe asking you a serious question or they're doing something and you criticize what they're doing constantly. Like you can't, and again, not ever be able to compliment them. You can never say anything nice about that person. That's destructive. And some people grew up in that type of household where nothing that they did was okay. Nothing that they did was right. And this destroys the bonding relationship that you're supposed to have. So you have a hard time bonding with that person because they can never say anything positive. They never give you any praise, any thanks, any appreciation. You can get an A plus, and they will find a reason on why that was not okay. You should have got an A plus plus. Um, And so sometimes, people have grew up with parents that didn't make them, that made them feel like that what they did was not enough, criticized them a lot, and that set that person up to be very either critical of themselves, as we talked about with um, self talk, the negative self talk that happens, or they're very critical of others. They have just learned to be critical. So you can ask them something and they can never say anything nice. Well, I do like your shirt, but probably should get a bigger size. I do like your dress, but it's a little tight. It's They can never compliment and just leave it at a compliment. And I was talking to some colleagues, and I'll give an example. Again, in other communities, I'm not sure how you compliment, but there was a funny meme or a jokey meme that went around that was saying this is the way that African Americans or minorities compliment. When they really enjoy what you have on, they'll walk up to you. You think you cute, and that's the compliment. um, where you going tonight? Um, so those type of statements, instead of just outright saying you look nice, or saying things like you clean up well, and it could have been so used to being said for years that we think that's okay to say. What that really communicates is negativity. That you think usually, do I usually look nasty or dirty? I mean, what you mean I clean up nice? Um, which I mean, you can just say you look nice. It's okay to tell somebody they look nice. Just again, we talked about before. Just generally give a compliment. Um, and that, is destructive when you cannot just generally tell somebody they look nice. You appreciate this, appreciate that, thanking them for something. As we kind of piggybacking off of last week, not saying thank you is another form of kind of an undercurrent of criticism. So we have to be really careful when people do things for us, um, and we don't say thank you. We can behave as if they are supposed to do that for you. When you do those type of things, then you can run people away from you. Relationship. We appreciate parents who do things for us, who took care of us, etc., because they don't have to. We see what some of the parents are doing now to their children. Um, so when people do things, as our parents have taught us, it's always nice to say thank you. Just say thank you. Um, and so make sure that we are sharing those positive words. Criticism in romantic relationships. This can come across as that person can never look nice enough for you. They can dress up, and when they dress up, they can look smoking from head to toe, male or female, doesn't make a difference. They can look nice from head to toe. Hair is nice. They got their face right. They may say maybe makeup if it's a young lady. They just look really nice. But you find something about what they have on or how they look, and you give a negative comment. Um, excuse me. Something like, "Where you think you going? You better not be trying to go get another man, another woman. What? I'm dressing up for you. Just say I'm looking at you. You're not going nowhere looking like that." Gives a negative connotation, and it gives the impression that you don't like how they look. Which in some cases, when it comes to destructive behaviors, that is the intention. I don't want anyone else to see how nice you look, so I'm going to tear you down enough where you don't want to go out. You don't want to go anywhere because you think you look so horrible. That's destructive. If you are with someone that can never give you a compliment, they can never tell you that you look nice, um, and even when or they struggle with wanting to go anywhere with you or try to make you feel down if you want to go hang out with your friends or go to your mama's, pancake breakfast, whatever, right? You always got to be hanging out with them. You don't never want to spend time with me. Guilt tripping you about the time that you spend with other people can be destructive. And some people don't see it that way. They think, oh, they just love me. And I want you to understand that this is happening in teen relationships. So I wanted to put that out there. This is not like I'm talking to you about adult situations. Teens do this type of thing, where they will down you and make you feel like what you have on, you're not pretty enough. Oh, I really like, so and so's hair. How come you don't dye your hair like that? Criticism. Um, and it leaves that again that message of I'm not pretty enough or I'm not tall enough. Oh, if you was only just about 2 inches taller, or if you just lost about 20 pounds, I mean, ooh, you would have it going on. What? Now, again, nothing's wrong with the fact that you can tell someone that you want them to be healthy. That can be a healthy conversation to have if you're with someone um, romantically or a friend or a family member. Nothing's wrong with saying, hey, we're worried about your health, etc. But if I have to compare you to somebody else, that's destructive. Because I'm not trying to build you up. I'm purposely trying to tear you down and comparing you to others. So you want to be watchful of that. And you have, especially in our young relationships, and it's not, again, not just our teens, but it also is happening with our adults. But it does start with our teenagers. So if you have someone that can never compliment you and they always are constantly feeling like they have to do more and more to please you, they're constantly anxious around you, that may be a sign that you may be doing some destructive things, that you may be toxic. If people are quiet around you, don't ever want to talk to you, um, or they may not ever want to talk about relationships or talk to you in that regards, then that may be something that you may want to explore. For our teenagers, I do want to let you know something that I thought was interesting and very um, just I won't say that, honestly just disturbing. It disturbed me. Um, Thank you, Lady Alfred. Hello, hello, Armara, Paris, Jerry. Hello, all you who are joining me. And Cheryl, Alex. Good evening to all of you. But for our teenagers, there is a standard in some of their relationships that they have to allow their partner to search their phone. Now, I'm sorry, this little gnat is getting on my nerves. I have my diffuser on, and he just likes to stay over here with my diffuser. Makes me so upset. Anyway, but wants to check your phone. Like, and I don't mean like check, like go through your text, read your text messages from whoever sent them to you. It could be your mama, your sister, your uncle. They want to read them. They want to read your inbox. Um, and and then criticize you. We're talking about criticism um or give you sarcastic remarks when you don't let them, and put you on a guilt trip, or put that person on a guilt trip. I've talked to several teenagers who have had this standard, um and said they have to check their boyfriend's phone, and their boyfriend can check their phone, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not married. I'm married and I don't check my husband's phone like that. I shouldn't have to check my husband's phone like that. um so that's a sign that it's destructive. If I can't trust you with who you're texting and who you're talking to, then I shouldn't be with you. You probably are toxic. Or this interaction or this relationship is toxic. So someone wanting to check your phone and give me your password. We see a lot of jokes about that with young ladies and young men. Like, let me see your password. What's your password? Who you call? If I have to do all that, then I need to probably step aside and not be dating you. If I already understand that that's who you are, that you are someone who talks to a lot of people at one time, I have to understand that too. But our teenagers are putting themselves in restrictive relationships, and the more that adults, especially as parents, who are can see these signs, like I don't really like your boyfriend, I don't like your girlfriend, and the more restraint you try to put on them, the more they try to be sneaky about it, which we know that's how it used to happen when we were teenagers as well. But you want to be careful and talk to your teenagers about what's toxic, what's destructive in their dating relationships. They are still growing to be who they are. They don't even know who they are yet. Um, some adults don't know who they are yet. So um, make sure that you talk to your teenagers. If you are a youth leader, this is a great topic of discussion, especially this month, so people can understand what's okay and what's not okay. If I have to drill you about what time you was at work, what time you get off, I'm trying to meet you and check out whether you here or there. No, that's not okay. I know I got off on a tangent talking about um, Supposed to be talking about criticism, but that falls in line with criticism because that person will criticize you if you don't let them see your phone, if you don't let them check um, any of your messages, or who's like to just text you, and you're like, that was my mama. Let me see, and then they mad at you all night if you don't let them see. But the issue is, then you let them see, and then you're mad at them all night because they didn't trust you. And this is the type of behavior that goes back and forth over and over again. Um, they want you to call them at a certain time. Now, again, when me and my husband were dating, maybe we wasn't even dating yet, but we had a certain time that we talked every day, because that was just our schedules with going to school and work and etc. That's different because we both were on a mutual agreement and we both were adults. Um, Sometimes in romantic or relationships or friendships, one party can guilt trip the other person because you didn't answer the phone when I called you, and then would drill you, like give you 20 questions, literally 20 questions about why you didn't answer the phone, what you was doing, who you were with, and you feel obligated to answer those questions. Again, that's destructive. Because you should not feel like you have to be on the third degree or get interrogated about something that happened while you didn't answer the phone. Um, so um, I just wanted to share that on tonight. I know that it is the video is it's drawing late. It's 8:30, so I just wanted to share that and remind you all again. If you wanted to hear more, we'll go into detail about what these look like and then how to make sure that we are watchful for these signs and how to get help for those. For those who may be in the Terre Haute area, there is the CODA Shelter, Council on Domestic Abuse, CODA. Please reach out to them. Please reach out to anyone that you find that would be helpful. None of us that care about, we don't want anybody hurt. And I will say that men can be abused as well. And a lot of men are suffering in silence, as I talked about in May, but suffering in destructive relationships because they are afraid to say something because they're afraid they're going to look weak or not like a man because they make jokes. What, you let your girl hit you? You know, but if a lot of men grew up where they don't hit women, and so some women take advantage of that, where they would keep hitting on or being very destructive, demeaning to their men, um, and then the men just take it because and we say the same thing because I love her or because I love him. That's constantly the statement of why people stay. Excuse me, and with the hopes that they will change. They're going to go to counseling someday. So they give you all these promises after they've criticized you, put you down, and maybe you're crying or you're upset. Then they come with the, oh, baby, I'm sorry. I didn't mean it that way, but they did. And then they'll keep doing it the same way again. Now, again, we can say things in a very mean tone and be mad at someone and it be genuinely, I'm sorry, I was just in a really bad mood. But when you see this pattern happening over and over again, every time you dress up, they put you down. Every time your girls ask you, "Do you want to go out?" or your boys say, "Let's go hang out," they have something to guilt trip you about. Then it's destructive because they either don't want you to hang out with them people, your friends, or don't want you to go out. Or they will tell you that nobody else is going to love you like I will love you. You can't get nobody else like me. People think that's what just happens on the movies. That happens in real life. People will tell someone, you ain't gonna find no other woman that would do for you what I do for you. You ain't gonna find another man that's gonna love you and wine and dine you like I do. Go out there, and then you're sarcastic again, right? Sarcasm. Go on out there and find you one. Go on. And don't you dare walk out the door because then they're gonna be sitting there hot for the rest of the night. And when you come in, they don't talk to you for days, which is also destructive. Because then you feel like you're obligated to solve a problem that's not even yours. But again, I said I'm gonna pause. So it's gonna be good this Saturday. So you do not want to miss this topic because I want you to know this is happening in our churches. From the pulpit to the door. People are experiencing destructive relationships. And I want you to know to stop telling people to just pray about it, just stick it out. No, If you do not have a certified counseling degree, and I'm going to be bold enough to say this, do not give anyone advice on their relationship, because I say that liability wise as well. Because if you do that and they listen to you and then they end up getting hurt, they can come back and for clergy, for anyone that has a position in the church, they can come back and likely say that you were the one who told them to do A, B, and C, and then fault you for that. So, if you don't have the professional credentials, you have someone who is dealing with destructive behaviors and toxic relationships, refer them to a professional counselor. If your pastor or your leaders have a counselor or counseling certification or a degree, that's fine. But also, again, as I've said before, know what your limits are as leaders, as ministers and spiritual leaders. Know when you are to no longer intervene or to be that counseling ear for that person. Um, so if you have any questions, please feel free to send them into the comments. I do answer questions as I see them. Also, you can inbox me if you don't want to share your question or comment. If you know someone who is in a destructive relationship or a toxic relationship, um, please, please, please have them come on Saturday if they are free to be able to hear seminar and bring them. You come with them to let them know that you are supportive. Because one of the main things that happens when these type of behaviors are present in relationships is that they isolate the person. You feel like you don't have anybody. You know, you've burned so many bridges that nobody wants to help you. So make sure that we are those people that will help someone get out of that type of relationship. Until I see you again next week for part three, we'll kind of see how the seminar went, and I will kind of give you another tidbit on destructive relationships and toxic behaviors. Thank you so much for watching, and you guys have a great, great week.